Oh, yeah, thank you.
Never been compared to Bob Barker, but take it.
Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Or I should sit or,
No, anywhere. So I'll just, I will be making a brief introduction to the
Okay.
project.
Okay.
and our recommendation.
I'm next.
You can stay in the vein, so it's the zoning administrator hearing is starting, your 117 Paul is the second item, but
I
you're
don't-
welcome to stay in here if you like,
What
or
would
it's
your-
up to you.
Client. Or we-
Oh,
you
I'm good, you're welcome to, no objections from my end, so
Okay.
yeah.
You are for projects equal footing.
You got it.
The zoning administrator hearing.
Zoning commission.
They are public hearings, so anyone is welcome
Okay.
to attend.
I'm Christina Bradley,
Christina.
Chris,
Chris, nice to
And-
meet
Nice to meet you. I'm
Jose.
Renee.
Renee and Jose.
Jose.
Alan, sorry.
Alan, Chris.
Hey, Chris, good to meet you.
Same here.
Alan, I'll be giving a brief presentation on the project, but you is welcome to. If you'd like to.
Okay, sure, all right.
All right, well, welcome everybody. I'll go ahead and get started. It is 10:02 a.m. and we are here for the zoning administrator hearing for the city of Santa Fe. We have two items on our agenda today. My name is Renee Nickenig. I'm an associate planner acting as the zoning administrator. For both projects, I will ask the planner on the project to do a brief introduction. Following the introduction, the applicant or owner, whoever is present representing the project, is permitted to speak should they wish to. Should they wish not to, they are not required to. Following both presentations, I, as a zoning administrator, will have a chance to ask any questions of the applicant or the planner on the project, after which the project will be open for a public hearing. We'll leave some time for if anybody is attending online who is not a part of the project, we cannot actually allow any speaking through the Zoom link. This is just a webinar link. But anybody who is present here in the hearing today, should they come into the room, will have a chance to speak or ask any questions.
I don't have, do I have, is my person up there?
Yes, they are, yes.
Is
I
that
see them. Yeah,
Bhavani?
I think it'd be them, Bhavani. or-
Bonnie, okay, thank you.
So after the public hearing is closed, a discussion will take place between the zoning administrator, the planner, and the applicant. Should any questions come up, zoning administrator will make a decision following that and review the conditions of the project. I'll go over this again at the end of the meeting, but for each project, there is a 5-day appeal period, in which time any member of the public or the applicant can appeal the project. And I will go over, I'll review that at the end of how that should happen. So with that, I already opened the hearing, but we'll start with item number 1, which is a request for environmental and design review and use permit for 135 Windward Way. So please, planner, Jose, continue.
Yes, good morning, everybody in attendance. For the record, case planner Jose Herrera, City of Santa Fe. The item in front of the zoning administrator is the property at 135 Windward Way. The scope of the project consists of on-site private improvements to create open surface parking lot and inventory parking for Porsche Marin at 135 Windward Way. The zone for the property is light industrial office district, and per the Santa Fe Municipal Code, it requires a minor environmental and design review permit and a use permit for the use. The project site is approximately 110,000 square feet, of which 70,000 square feet would be occupied for the automobile vehicle parking and storage. The site sits near the end of a cul-de-sac at the terminus of Windward Way. The site is adjacent to existing commercial businesses to the west and a similar auto parking and storage use to the east, which is occupied by Toyota Marin. The site, the on-site improvements consist of asphalt paving, landscaping, lighting, 8-foot tall perimeter fence. No vertical structures are proposed on the site. The site is intended to be used as overflow inventory parking for the primary auto dealership on East Francisco Boulevard. So there will be minimal trips expected to and from the site. And the storage of the parking lot will be similar as the business hours for the business. Staff has made all the findings and recommends approvals with the attached conditions from planning and from the other agencies at the building division and the Department of Public Works. The applicant, Alan, is here. If you would like to add any more to the record.
No, I think you covered it well. It's a relatively straightforward redevelopment of existing vacant lots, and as Jose said, transforming those into use as a sort of overflow inventory lot for Porsche Marin. And so this will be very sort of useful for their organization and their operation, and hopefully a net benefit for the city as well in terms of providing some additional security and landscaping at the perimeter, as well as dealing with on-site storm drainage. So.
I do have just a question regarding the conditions imposed by Public Works. They are extensive conditions and their conditions prior to issuance of a building. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
The applicant has been provided a copy of the conditions prior to the meeting.
Okay, yes. Fantastic. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, I do not have any questions as the zoning administrator on the findings or conditions. Findings are clear to me, conditions with the Public Works are clear. So with that, I will open this up to a public hearing. I see we have one attendee online, but again, we are unfortunately not able to take any comments over the phone. I will take a minute or two should anybody come into the meeting to want to speak. And if anybody here has anything they'd like to say, we'll just give the public, sometimes people come in at the last minute. So give a good 30 seconds for anybody to run in.
Seems pretty straightforward. You're gonna make an improvement on a vacant lot.
Mhm.
Of course, you're out there with the tsunami warning and everything. That must have been a little bit shocking.
Okay, well, I think that was a solid 30 seconds. We see nobody has come in, nobody here present at the meeting would like to speak. In terms of a discussion, as I previously mentioned, I had no questions on the project itself. I just do have one note regarding the effective date due to the holiday next week. It will be one day delayed on the December 22nd will be, 7th would be the effective date. I see that the conditions are thorough and have everything that we would usually apply to a design review and a use permit, in addition to the conditions imposed by the building division and the Department of Public Works. The use, as mentioned, is associated with an existing use, will not have a significant impact on traffic or other industries in the city, and will provide a needed supportive service to an existing business. So with that, as the zoning administrator, I will conditionally approve this project with just the note that there, again, is a 5-day appeal period, which will begin today. And so because of the holiday, it's 5 business day appeal period. It will end at 5 p.m. December 26th. Which so in order to appeal the project, a member of the public, and I'm going to bring up this exact number so that we know any member of the public can appeal the decision, which of course, I believe it's $358 from any member of the public, and the applicant may appeal the project as well for a much larger sum, which is deposit based. Let me get you that sum, which went away from me very quickly. So that is $5,119 for the applicant or a non-resident neighbor to appeal the project, $358 for a neighbor or member of the public to appeal. Thank you very much. That appeal must be received in writing before 5 p.m. December 26th. December 26th. Thank you very much. That's a Thursday. Okay, and that will close the hearing for 135 Windward Way. It is 10:11 a.m. and we will move to our next item, item number 2.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy holidays.
You too, take care.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Have a good day. All right, so our second item on the agenda today is a request for a conditional use permit at 117 Paul Drive. This is a request to operate a music tutoring center in the light
it's a music-
industrial and office district. I do have a few questions that I will be asking of the applicant and the planner related to the definition and the description of the project. But prior to those questions, I will ask the planner. We have listed as Kavita and Bhavani, either Kavita or Bhavani are welcome to speak and please give a presentation.
Sure, thank you. Good morning, Renee, and I think Margaret is there. Should I keep my camera on or off?
That's up to you. We don't have our camera on. We're just recording for audio. So
Okay.
it's entirely up to you.
Is
Okay,
it possible to increase the volume?
Just trying to see.
Just a request to increase the volume and I'm not actually sure about that. But we will shut this door a little bit so it's a little quieter. And I'm happy to repeat anything that,
Thank
and
you.
you're welcome to move closer to the speaker as well.
Yeah, and I'll try to be loud.
I appreciate
Oh,
it.
it's a speaker, that's why it is. The speaker's from over there, that's why, okay. I'm fine, I'm a musician, but it's just, I want to be sure I got everything.
Sure. All right, Kavita, please continue.
Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good morning. I'm Kavita Kumar. I'm a consulting principal planner with M Group. And I have also the project planner who worked on this project, Bhavani Apotaraju, who's an associate planner with M Group on the call with me to answer any questions you may have. This project is an application for, it's a request for a conditional use permit to operate a music tutoring center at 117 Paul Drive. And this property is located in the light industrial office zoning district. Initially, the applicant this is an ongoing business, and the applicant applied for a business license in September 2023 and was advised at that time by staff that they needed a conditional use permit within the zoning district to operate as is. So the applicant is not making any changes to their current use or the hours of operation. But they're coming in to get a valid permit to operate as is. The conditional use permit was submitted in June of 2024 and has gone through a few rounds of completeness review and was deemed complete and is now in front of the zoning administrator for an action. The subject property, as I said, is currently being used for music tutoring, and the facility is being used for piano instruction for approximately 35 to 40 students. And the hours of operation has been included in the staff report and has varied hours of operation throughout the week, starting on Sundays from 9:30 and ending at 2:30 p.m. And so varied hours which are described, and we can go into that if there's any questions. But they seem appropriate for this location and use. With that, staff has made the applicable findings as detailed in the attached staff report. The applicant has reviewed the conditions of approval that were provided to them and have made no comments. And with that, staff recommends approval of this conditional use permit with associated conditions. And both Bhavani and I are happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kavita.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have the applicant here as well. You're welcome to speak on the project if you like.
I was happy to hear that they're recommending approval. No, I don't. I mean, the only thing that's bothering me as a very, very small business is $2,707 for an application fee that's for 485 square feet. I would like to know, so I know nothing about the planning department, and this may not be the place to ask this, but why isn't it a prorated fee based on, it seems unfair that someone who's renting 11,000 square feet has anybody considered a progressive pricing structure? That's just my general comment about the fee, because, you know, I had to put it on a credit card. But I've done it, so I really have to continue to work there because I've been priced out of the single family home market completely. And I don't want to live in my car. So my friend is renting to me at a very reasonable price, so I can afford to do this. So I appreciate the approval.
Well, thank you for that note.
I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
It will be included in the
Thank
record
you.
of the minutes of this meeting. So I do have a few questions for the planner and the applicant, just to get some clarity on the function of the business. So the first item I want to clarify is it sounds like the business itself is music tutoring. Is that a solo practitioner?
Tutoring in music is a different concept than teaching.
So that's part of my question, is that what it's described in the staff report is music tutoring, and what I want to better understand is what that looks like. So we have 2 categories in the municipal code specifically listed in this district that are permitted with a conditional use permit. That's specialized education and training, and music rehearsal and recording studio. So those 2 uses do have some, you know, obviously they have different implications of how those uses are used. Music tutoring leads me to believe that it is more on the education and training
Yes.
side, that it's music classes that are taking.
It's not even classes, it's single one person at a time.
One person at a time.
Yeah, it
So
is not a school. I'm not running a school.
Is it a single space?
Yes.
Where a student comes in at a time?
I have
So
a
that-
waiting room, and then the parents and siblings sit in the waiting room, and, you know, there's full view window. They can see me, and I go into a room with their child, or if it's an adult themselves, but yeah, and there's a piano there, and I just teach piano. It is tutoring, but it's not, I'm not doing remedial stuff for someone who's like an advanced. I could do that, but the demand is for piano lessons.
And this is
essentially.
limited to piano.
It's limited to piano. I mean, well, I have electronic. I'm not creating large amounts of music. This is not a Queen rehearsal. It's just and my hours, as you see, are usually 3:30. So the most auditory or sound impingement on the neighboring people is about an hour and a half, because they're all out of there at 5 o'clock, and the weekends there's no problem. So if you're concerned about noise levels, and I do about 30% online, so the kids are playing on a TV screen. So, and I've had I share a wall with another company, and nobody said anything.
Okay. And so, so 2 follow-up questions about, in terms of, are there any performances associated at this location?
You mean
Go for
paid
like
performances?
any recitals, anything?
Oh, no, the space is
It's
way too
solely-
small.
okay.
I rent churches, and I rent a church.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, no, that's
No.
that's always been the case. Even if I was renting a home, there'd be no place to put 75 people.
Sure, yeah. And then just the second question, I know that a business license was applied for in September 2023. Would you mind clarifying how long the business has been in operation?
Since 1989.
At this location?
No, at this
Oh,
location.
at
No,
this
I
location,
I
yeah.
just went back and looked at my old 1989 is the oldest license that I have, but this location 2 years, just on 2 years right now.
2 years.
Yeah, I
So
started
about-
January 2023, so this would be
Okay.
just 2 years.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. I
You're
think
welcome.
that's my last question. And so with that, final question, I will open it up to a public hearing, after which we'll have another discussion. So, we'll give our public 30 seconds, to attend.
It looks like there's 0 attendees.
Oh, No. So I think we've given our public a fair 30 seconds. We don't see anybody waiting in the lobby. We don't have anybody else here in the offices who would like to speak. We do have our planning manager here online, and Bhavani, the other project planner. And we can all speak in the discussion since you are not necessarily members of the public. So I'll kick off the discussion. So as I mentioned previously in my questions, the use itself does fall between two of our defined uses. So it is correct that a conditional use permit is needed. I'll be clarifying that in the record of the minutes of this meeting, what this use permit is specifically for. As you mentioned, it is not a large, of course, recording studio or rehearsal space you're doing, which would be more closely aligned with specialized education and training. So so it sounds like what it is one-to-one music
Yeah.
lessons. Which is that's just the term that comes into, and any program that's teaching that's not a school necessarily falls under that category.
Okay.
An example would be yoga classes, things like that, and not necessarily group activities, but any use that is specific to one educational purpose, as opposed to.
I see your point. Okay. Yeah, it definitely falls in that category.
Yeah. I'll just note that you mentioned the business is existing and currently operating
Mhm.
without a use permit. Previously, the site seems to have been used for office space. So just a note that I also want to bring up, and then if there's any comment about this, is that for this type of use, previously the building appears to be office space, which requires a larger number of parking spaces than a music space would require. You mentioned that
Yes,
the space
actually.
is 485 square feet. Is that the entire
485. And I have one car at a
Yeah.
time.
And the requirement for parking is one space for 500 square feet of,
Okay.
it says building, but this is specific to the space. If there are other uses at the site, I assume this is a multi-tenant building.
It's a multi-tenant
Yeah.
building. I mean, it's got a physical therapist,
Mhm.
several not property, but investment firms. It's office.
Yeah.
But generally, there's always parking. We have an annual thing that we do, which requires, we have 50 kids come in and the judge them over one weekend. And well, of course, it's the weekend. We never have any problems with the parking on the weekends. So, and if we did have to use Friday, I always notify the people that to expect that there would be some extra use of the parking, but it would be no more than an hour per person. And nobody has responded negatively.
That's good to know.
Yeah, no, the pretty small little group of people.
And is that about once or twice a year, that just
Once a year.
once a year?
It's in May. Usually the third week of May weekend.
But still just one student at a time in.
Oh, yeah, it's still, oh, no, it has to be, but they do tend to come early. So
Yeah.
they sit in the waiting room until it's their turn and the parents sit in their cars.
Pianists might be the only musicians that are on time for anything. They fit that bill a little bit better than, mostly what we think of musicians for.
Oh, I think that's giving us a bum rap. No, well, in the classical world, you better be on time.
Yeah. and
I don't know
I
about
actually-
rock and
actually
roll
call it
world.
the Classic musicians overall.
Yeah, we're a bit more orderly, I think.
So just a couple more notes that I want to make on the conditions of approval. The conditions do include that the project is subject to all applicable laws and regulations. You have mentioned this is just one instrumented piano, which is naturally tuned to a lower volume. I do just want to specifically note that we do have a noise ordinance that cannot be exceeded at any time. So should that become an issue ever in the future, that is, it applies at all times. So if there is ever an issue where the decibel level is going over,
Well,
it may
if you s-
be
what
asked
is
to
the
put in
decibel?
some noise dampening.
Do we have the decibel level?
So one item, Margaret, if you're here, if you don't mind, you are a panelist, so I think that you can unmute yourself. I just want to make sure in the order of operations that I do have some requests to update the staff report. These requests can also be reflected in the minutes, and I just want to confirm that that's acceptable.
Hi, Margaret Kavanaugh Lynch, Planning Manager. Absolutely. This is the public hearing. Anything we need to modify, if we can do that at this time.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll go over my changes that I'm gonna this request. So that is residential development.
Were you able to respond to the applicant's request on your decibel level?
That's what we are looking up right now. So
Okay,
development.
I'm happy to look at that as well.
Yeah, we have a general noise standards. Yeah, if you want, I'll go through my other changes. There should
Yeah.
be, there are daily and weekly noise limit for intermittent and constant. Yeah, and I think this would be an intermittent.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's
So we'll add
intermittent.
those, yeah.
It's, they're playing, then we talk about it, then I show them, then I play.
Yeah.
And, the top on the grand piano is down, so it's contained in there, and I'm in a corner unit.
Mhm.
So the sound would go out to the parking lot. Like I said, dibble and dibble, the people next door had never said anything.
And do you have a suite number for this?
Yes, C.
Suite C. So I'll review just the edits to the staff report that will be reflected in the minutes. The first item is that this is Suite C, so that's specific to this space.
Okay.
This use is most closely aligned with specialized education and training, again, which does require a conditional use permit. Again, we do music rehearsal studios, recording studios are also permitted under a conditional use permit, so any overlap there would be equally permitted. The hours of operation are not outside usual business hours, which just as part of the discussion supports the findings that this is not a detrimental use. This is an existing, I do not need to add any of the history of the, it is noted that this is an existing use in the staff report, although it is existing, it's not currently permitted. And so just to clarify that it is an existing, well,
I'm grandfathered
it's
in.
a currently operating but not permitted use.
Okay.
There will be no performances, which does not necessarily need to be noted, but there is just one change in the finding that refers to indoor fitness and recreation that I would like to remove.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
happens.
it's mental
It happens,
fitness.
yeah.
I mean, it could be viewed as
It
therapy.
happens in our staff reports for sure. But we have listed that it's piano instruction with limited number of students.
Mhm.
So those are just what I wanted to clarify, especially in terms of the use. The other item I just wanted to clarify, as we previously mentioned in the other report, is that the effective date will be December 27th, following the appeal period, which with the holiday will be extended to 1 day.
Okay.
And then the one item we just want to read into the record is the decibel level. So subject to applicable laws and regulations, that does include the noise ordinance, which I will just make a note of what that section is, so that.
Yeah, just to help again, this is Margaret over here.
Yes.
1416-260 noise standards. It appears that this is in an industrial district. That's what I believe the staff report notes. So let's see. but it's, sorry, it's a run-on paragraph here, but it's, zoning administrator, were you looking for interior
I
DBA?
was actually looking for our chapter 8 noise
Okay,
ordinance, which has the intermittent levels for industrial district, which is 70 dBA.
70, okay, yeah,
70,
70 dBA.
that's,
okay.
that's.
We
Sorry
have
about that.
we have multiple references to noise and
Can you, is it D dog, B boy, A N?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, lowercase d, capital B and
Oh,
A,
lowercase
yeah.
D, B, A, all right.
Maximum 70 decibels for intermittent use, which this would fall under that category.
And is there some chart as to what exactly that is? Maybe I could talk to my tuner. He might be able to tell me.
They'll probably, there's pretty standard levels for musical instruments, for one, piano being one of them. Your tuner will absolutely, I'm
Yeah,
sure, know.
I'll talk to Chris.
So there's fairly standard levels that are existing.
Okay.
70, I used to know what an average it's louder than you might think that it is. I believe an average because I won't say into the
Yeah,
record
because a
exactly,
concert is a
but
public
yeah.
thing with an audience.
yeah.
You have audience noise too.
And it would
This
only
isn't
ever,
that.
yeah, and it would only ever be measured if there were to be a complaint coming in that there was excessive noise coming
Right.
from the space. Should that happen, then we would require that the noise be measured. If it's not actually going above 70 dBA, then there would be no issue. So that not a requirement to know exactly what your decibel level is that you're putting out, but
Well,
it
I
is,
always like to know.
it is pretty available information,
Okay.
I would say, just in practice. So with those clarifications requested and some notes about the conditions, I will conditionally approve this project to operate a specialized education and training / music rehearsal studio for one-on-one piano lessons here at this site.
May I
As-
ask, just in general, I know you decided this was light industrial, but there's very little, I mean.
That's the established zoning district, so it's light industrial / office, so that's the zoning district in the city, and what those zoning districts refer to is, they're sometimes based on what's existing, if there's changes. We recently had an update to our general plan and sometimes to our zoning ordinance, but it refers mostly to what would be permitted there, so although there may be, more or less of one type of use, this being designated, this district allows for any use in that use table.
And what qualifies as light industrial? Would that be like moving companies? Is that because there's a couple of moving companies down the street?
That's something, some just like light
Or
manufacturing. if
Northgate
somebody's
Automotive,
can-
that might be an industrial. I'm just trying to figure out because most of it is offices and.
Well, so it's light industrial / office.
Office.
So, and it spans various portions of the city. So it's the designation for this specific site, but many other properties
Okay,
in the city. So, so with that, as previously mentioned, there is a 5-day appeal period that begins today and ends Thursday, December 26th at 5 p.m. Any member of the public, the applicant, resident or non-resident can appeal. For residents of San Rafael, the appeal fee is $358. And for the applicant or a non-resident, the fee is $5,119 deposit. That fee, that must be received with a written appeal before 5 p.m. on December 26th. If no such appeal is received, the permit will become effective Friday, December 27th.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Funny to
Thank-
see.
Thank you, everyone, and have a happy and safe holidays.
The same to
Thank
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Safe being.
you,
the
everybody.
operating word. Thank
Thank-
you. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Well, congratulations, Chris.
Thank you. I made it.
Yeah.
Taken a year, but I did it.
That concludes the meeting. We'll draft a minute that will reflect the changes, and then.
And I'll get
then-
copies of those. Okay, great. Thank you so much. This is a relief. I didn't see, I thought my property manager was going to be attending today. But something probably came up with another property.
It happens. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Colloquial. Thank you. Have a good holiday. Bye-bye.
I think guys is like I say like, hey guys, like I think of that as like a gender neutral term. Thank you for opening the door. Everyone's still on? Were there any other things we wanted to go over? It's still technically
No.
the hearing, but
Yeah. I just stayed in case there were any other updates or questions. If not, I can leave.
I don't have anything else. Yeah, I will memorialize all of this in writing.
Okay.
And review it from there. But I just,
Okay,
since
great.
everybody was still on, I just wanted to make sure before I shut the meeting down, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else to go
Yeah,
over.
it's just a habit. I leave last because sometimes things come up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, well,
thank you both and happy holidays.
thank you, you too.
Thanks, Kavitha, you too.
Goodbye,
Bye.
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.